finish this spring is a piece of astrology software that we call Jyoti. Jyoti is an acronym. It stands for Jyotish Yantra for Ontological Temporal Integration. It's a mouthful, but really what it means is that we're going to write a piece of software that analyzes a chart exactly the way Bṛhad, Parāśara, Horā, Śāstra would analyze. It doesn't exist. And I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, if I was the first person who ever wrote a piece of Jyotish software, that would be the first thing I would do. Take the original, oldest, most authoritative work and just write a program that implements that and see what the result is. Then I would maybe, you know, try to add other things and compare the results and see, you know, which is better. Like that. That would be, because that would give you a baseline to do some meaningful research. And so far we don't have that baseline. All we have is somebody's opinion about what works that we should use as a standard in our astrology software. So one of the handicaps that I'm dealing with every day as a Vedic astrologer is that the software that's out there isn't really adequate. Doesn't really address the original meaning of Vedic astrology. It's more designed for commercial applications, and we don't want to go there because we've seen the problems that result from it. And we don't want those problems. We want to do astrology in the context of spiritual life. That this reading is to help you arrange your life in such a way to make the maximum spiritual advancement. That's the purpose of astrology as given by Parāśara. So our software will be written in this mood, that we're all spiritual living beings. Our purpose is to get back to the spiritual world. We need the help that astrology can give us. And it's not about, you know, we may talk about material things, but always in the context of spiritual. That's what astrology is really for, and that's what we're doing. So, are there any questions up to this point?
What do you use now as a platform for correct analysis?
Well, it's not a problem to like draw the chart and stuff like that. That's just mechanic. That's just math, you know, calculations. You get it out of the ephemeris. Okay. So there's several programs that I use. I use Gauravani Jyotish. I use Jagannath Horā. And there's another one called, what's it called? Who's the student of Parāśara? Maitreya. There's another program called Maitreya. They're all open source programs, or actually they all use the open source positions. You know, there's a file that's available that's for free that has all the positions of the planets and stuff. They all use the same ephemeris, right? So you know, the results that they get are so close as to be virtually indistinguishable. That's the easy part. Calculating the chart is just mechanics. Interpreting the chart requires some real intelligence, because you have to go through the Śāstra and see, you know, how is he interpreting the chart, or how is he looking at these different positions and what they mean or what they indicate. So we've developed basically an intermediary language specification that allows us to express the Sanskrit shlokas of BPHS in a logical syntax. And then we can use that, a table lookup kind of a thing, to see which conditions apply. And then extract the readings that Parāśara gives and, you know, format them into a table where we can actually, you know, then sort them according to different criteria and stuff like that. It's a pretty simple architecture, really. It's just a lot of details because there's something like 12,000 readings involved. You know, that's not even including the dashas. That's just the basic positions in the chart. Because chart, let's see, you have 7 planets, 12 signs, 12 houses, and then the relationships among them, and then there's something like, I don't know, 49 chapters of BPHS that all they deal with is the birth chart and the meanings of those positions in the birth chart. About 45% of BPHS just deals with that. Then another 40% deals with the dashas. And the dashas are very valuable because they allow you to make predictions based on time. But then there's different exceptions and special cases and remedial measures and all like that, and that comprises the other 10% or so of the work. So basically, you know, the analysis is almost half done. And this is going to be one of my focuses when I get back to Mexico. I'm going to be, you know, trying to finish that, finish the course and finish the design for the software. Somebody else have a question? Tony? Okay. Anybody have a question out there in internet land? Huh? No? Okay, for you. Let's see, what was I going to do next? I forget. Well, I was going to, in my original plan for today, I was thinking it would be nice to actually do a reading and show how a reading is done. But, you know, it's such a nice day, and it's almost 3 o'clock already, that I was thinking it might be better to, you know, to just break for the day and then get together online once I'm back in Mexico and I have the time to like sit down and spend a couple of hours with each of you over the web conferencing system. Because that way I can share my application online and you can see everything that I'm seeing, and then we can talk it over, because part of the purpose of doing this, all these readings, is our ongoing research to look into the spiritual meanings of some of the different indications in the charts, especially something called moksha karaka.
What's that?
Well, a karaka is an indicator, and moksha means liberation. So some people have, actually about 1% or 2% of people have one of 4 different indications in their chart that they can, not necessarily will, but they can achieve liberation in this lifetime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's called moksha karaka. Like I said, it's about 1 to 2% of the population has this, but that doesn't mean that they're definitely going to attain it. And we're trying to figure out the factors. This is our specific research that we're doing, is to analyze the factors that determine whether or not they're able to take advantage of this.
And what if they don't have that, even though they do a lot of chanting, they'll never get...
Not necessarily, no. This is another thing we found. Consciousness is the most important cause of everything. Right? So even if a person has no moksha karaka in their chart, if they make a very strong determination that they want to achieve enlightenment, they can achieve it.
Yeah.
They may have to work harder.
I see.
It's just like somebody who's born, you know, with a big trust fund. You know, it's easier for them to reach retirement. Right. You know, but that doesn't mean you can't do it if you really work hard and you're disciplined and you know you take care of your situation.
So you can tell us how hard we need to work to get.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the indications that lets you know what your spiritual situation is.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is take a look at the whole chart, you know, and see if a person has moksha karaka, and then find out about how they're looking at things, or what the factors are that are preventing them maybe from taking advantage of that. Like we found, for example, in one case. A young man had moksha karaka in his chart, but he also had his sun and Mercury in the 12th house. And sun in the 12th is always a weak position. It means they have a weak physiology, and with Mercury also there, it means that he has a weak mind also. Okay, so Venus is in the first house, and Venus in the first house is very strong, and also has what's called a lock on the 12th house. And so because of Venus's lock on the 12th house, this guy he cannot resist women at all. It's like a woman comes, he like forgets who he is, where he is, what's going on, you know, what he wants to do, and he's just like, he just turns into like a robot, you know, he's lost. He loses his whole sense of direction. You can see it in his chart, I mean, it's really obvious, right? And this is what happens in his life. So he may have